Florida State, to me, has one of the best 5 probably personnel-wise teams in the country, the way they've been able to reload through the portal, as well as having good recruiting and good young players coming up in the program that they've developed. So I think they're one of the best teams in the country, and looking at them on the field, they're a very physical, good-looking team.
Nole Nation, welcome into another episode of the Renegade Rundown. Not just any episode. We are finally less than 24 hours away from some Florida State football. Boy, it seems like an eternity, like it's been 100 years crossing the desert. But we are finally back to some Florida State football. College game day is in Ireland for the first time ever. Before we get too deep into it, let me welcome my good friend Deshawn Adams, aka at Deshawn Adams 18. You guys can find him on Twitter. You can go check out his YouTube page, Pro Football Talk, Double D's Let's Talk About It. Make sure you're subscribed to that. Double D's Gaming. He's got all kind of stuff for you guys, but we're real excited to talk to you guys tonight again. Let's start off talking about a little bit about one of the GOATs of college football. 7 championships, of course, Nick Saban at Alabama. I made a little waves on Twitter this morning, Deshawn. People weren't too happy with me when I found out he was going to be at practice, throughout his duties, or fulfilling his duties, rather, as an ESPN analyst in town for the game. I just pointed out that I thought that it was pretty crazy that a guy who's still employed by Alabama, makes $500,000 a year as an advisor, has an office still. This is all public information. Nobody refutes it. Meanwhile, can witness practices and come study and get all this information about a team it could possibly end up facing in the college football playoff. And everybody's like, oh, he's just loosely connected. And what about Urban Meyer and Chip Kelly, all these different guys? No, all these other different guys, they broke that. It was done. Like Urban had to leave Ohio State. Chip Kelly, went to the pros, all the different things. There was a degree of separation there. Or maybe it was a coach that left, like Dan Mullen. He left Florida, but he wasn't going back to Florida. So as a free agent, if you want to work as an analyst and learn things, I get it. And I understand Saban's not coming back to coaching. I wasn't trying to say he's up to some dirty shenanigans and it's this whole big thing. It's just ESPN has a whole cast of characters. You're telling me there's nobody else they could have sent that didn't have a conflict of interest? Like, are they going to send him to Auburn for the Iron Bowl? Like, I don't think they're going to let that happen. And the chances of meeting in a playoff now with this 12-team playoff is big. I mean, Florida State opens with Alabama next year, but it really evolved into several different things. But I'll let you comment on that before I move into the next kind of semi-viral tweet and eventually into the comments that we showed people there at the beginning.
Well, for me, man, personally, I'm not bothered by it. I look at it as flattery, when you get the cross paths, when the GOAT. I understand that he still, somewhat still has some correlation or relationship with Alabama. He still has an office and stuff, but I don't look at it that way. I actually look at it as, okay, he's coming to check out and see what we actually look like, and he's working as an ESPN analyst, so I can understand it, and I actually am excited, to have him there, as far as knowing the background and the track record and his relationship to our GOAT, Bobby, and their crossing paths in the past when he was a younger coach. I just look at it as a sign of respect, when one of the best and one of the greatest coaches come to watch a practice and he liked what he saw. I'm cool.
Yeah, we definitely get into that part. Shout out to FSU Steeler 75 becoming a greenie. We really appreciate you joining as a new member. And guys, remember, we're doing a members only live stream watch along party for the game tomorrow. If you guys don't want to listen to the whole ESPN broadcast and all those shenanigans, we're going to be here for you guys throughout the game, and then we're going to do a post-game show over on the Voice of College Football main channel and the FSU Voice of College Football channel. So there'll be 50,000 subscribers getting an alert for that one. If you want to join us over there, that'll be a lot of fun. But definitely become a member. Join us. We're going to do all kinds of fun stuff for members throughout the seasons. Who knows? We might make the watch party a regular thing. We'll see how it goes. Just so you guys know, Jen will be here in just a few minutes. She's been having power outages there in Memphis and her neighborhood. It's been one of those days for her, but She'll be here in a minute. She's just working on coming up the stairs now. But yeah, I agree with everything you said, Deshawn. That's why I thought people were taking it wrong. Everybody's replies were saying the obvious things. He works at ESPN. It's like, yeah, I know he works at ESPN. That's what I'm pointing out, the conflict of interest there. But yeah, I agree. In the end, he ends up going to the practice. And then he goes on Pat McAfee shows it, as we just saw. And he sits there and he says, yeah, after seeing Florida State in practice, they're a top 5 team in the nation when it comes to personnel. And on top of that, they've got speed, they've got intensity, they've got size, they've got everything you need in a football team. Just an absolutely glowing review of Florida State. So that was my next tweet. It's like, the whole narrative is we've covered conference realignment on here and all the things that Florida State's done, all the lawsuits, all the PR, all the things we talked about, that Brett McMurphy article saying that we're what we were called disruptive partners and all these things, and all different people have pretty much came up. And I guess I summarized their words. I know several people have said exactly this. But basically FSU is tarnishing their brand, ruining their brand by going out here and doing all this stuff. By not being a loyal dog to the ACC. We've talked about it ad nauseum on this channel. Like, there's literally the last 2 programs left in Florida State and Clemson that aren't either independent like Notre Dame or in one of the Power 2 conferences. They've been more loyal than anyone. It's just only so far you can go. That's why Michael Alford came out in 2023 and said the different things he did. But now, after all they're saying that and everything, Florida State ain't what they're cracked up to be. That you're not as important as you are. You're so this conceited. You're so delusional, lunatic fringe, all these things. Well, all summer we've been reporting that Florida State, man, not trying to be crazy, but they have the best front four in the entire nation. Definitely a top 5 D line. That's what we've been saying. We've been saying running backs might be deeper than anybody. Well, now all of a sudden, Andy Staples comes out, best defensive line in the nation, hands down. Pete Thamel comes out softly and kind of says maybe best D-line, and then reiterates, best defensive line in the nation, hands down. Now we get Nick Saban on Pat McAfee show with like 60,000 people watching on YouTube, however many people watching on ESPN and every other place it's available. It's literally the biggest sports show there is. He goes on there and says, Florida State's a top 5 team in the nation. Like, it's pretty funny and pretty just desserts for all the conversation that's went on and all the hate that's came Florida State's way about especially high school recruiting. How much flack have we gotten from certain people? Oh, Florida State has this, that, and that. Miami's killing them in recruiting. That's another thing that came out. The new composite came out, the 4-year composite. Well, they couldn't hide from all them freaking 3-stars, could they? Literally, I think it's 12, 13, and 14. It goes Florida, Florida State, Miami. I went crazy. I did all kind of graphs, charts, and I did them on Twitter. I brought them onto this show. I broke it all down, breaking down the entire roster, how all the blue chips are distributed. And people said I was crazy. All they would do was show the recruiting rankings. These are the recruiting rankings. Well, we finally got the composite, and it showed exactly what I was talking about. We're ahead of Miami in that composite, and it doesn't account for any exits or entries at all. That's literally just how we've recruited the past 4 classes. And that's, just high school recruiting. What Florida and Miami have supposedly done so much better than us. And really, we're all about exactly the same. But the only difference, Florida State has dominated incoming portal, and they have dominated retainment. We can both name 3 or 4 players that have left both Florida and Miami that would have started were big parts of their team. Hell, we've got one of each starting for us right now, and Daryl Jackson and Richie Leonard. But I'm sorry, I know I'll go on and on and on. I just gave about 3 things, but it's really kind of just desserts for you've been on here a couple months with us, telling everybody what we think of the roster, and we come back to find out that I guess everybody really does agree with us now that push comes to shove, and we're less than 24 hours away from game day.
Yep, as they say on the timeline on X, man, Lion season's over now. It's time to put up or shut up, line that shit up. And as you see, and more evidence and facts continue to come out that prove points that our arguments, prove facts of what the roster is, the coaching staff is, even within our fan base, we're starting to just see it. There's going to be some game day nerves and stuff like that going into tomorrow, but them guys are locked in and they're ready. and the roster is where it needs to be, from top to bottom. That's what I've spoken about since I've been involved with you guys on the show, and we're been doing the things we're doing. Is like you said, retention, high school recruiting, and portal. Those are the three things. And we're continuing to get better and develop and raise the floor. That's something that we haven't had since Mike started. The last 2 years, we've seen the floor get raised through recruiting and portal. And it's just been a consistent pattern that you're seeing. And now the development is starting to come in. And you can develop portal players. The people don't believe that, and they always speak to, well, they came from this school. But if they're there for more than 1 year, and that's what we happen to usually take portal players with more years than one, we'll get a few here and there. But when you can get them there for more, then you can acclimate them into your system and your program, your way of running things, and they fit. And you see the development. You're starting to see that line. And I haven't seen our offensive line look like that since Jimbo, being honest. We actually look like a SEC caliber type line on both sides.
Not just Jimbo, but like
Yeah.
year 3 and 4
Yeah.
Jimbo.
Yeah.
Not even year 5 and 6 and 7 Jimbo. It's been a solid decade since we've seen an offensive line. Since 2014, when Cam Irving and those guys went to the NFL, it's been over with. It's a beautiful thing. And just to reiterate, I won't say any names, but there's people that are high up, been covering FSU a long time and stuff, that share that kind of opinion about high school recruiting and the sustainability of, signing 20 guys out of high school and 10, 15 out of the portal, as Mike Norvell has done, and believe he's going to continue to do. I don't think it's going to change. It'll just be 20 straight blue chips, fawning over these Miami classes with 10, 15 3-stars. Well, now Alabama's coach, Nick Saban, just came out and said FSU has a top 5 roster. Well, if you have a top 5 roster, that means you are a national competitor. That means you're a national championship in the hunt. There's literally 12 playoff spots. So I don't know how many years in a row you need to get for it to count as sustainability, but we saw the climb in 2022. We saw the domination in 23. And so, hopefully as long as everything happens as Nick Saban as we and you and I think this year, I think maybe people will get the message. And as I've said over and over again, when you get to 25, 26, 27, when 2023 is kind of the lowest, the beginning of your 4-year recruiting total, Florida State is going to be at another level, and they're going to be challenging Ohio State and Georgia for having the best roster in the nation, because what Mike Norvell's doing is the future. And you see that by Ohio State's recruiting. I heard watching, I believe it was Minutes to Sports, they spent something like $13 million on their NIL budget, which is funny. I never said the number that I was told in confidence of what the Battle Then spent on football this year. But we did hear something about 18 million either for the total or for next year's plan. But I can tell you, don't believe the hype about what people say about what different schools pay and FSU didn't pay, because they are competitive with the very top schools in the nation. Yes, including Ohio State, right there with them. With how much money they spent on NIL in 23 and are spending in 2024. That's without a doubt.
Yeah, I can agree with you, George. I just look at the situation and where we're at with our coaching staff and how we do recruiting. It's very similar to Clemson, like we talked about, how Clemson does it, with an exception that we will do retaining and portal. I also like that our head coach is more of a strategist. So he's a strategist and strategic in how he runs his daily operation, which we haven't had in a while. And I love the way Mike just executes on the field. It's a separation between the other two programs in the state. And like you said, we all have similar, basically blue chip ratios, but the difference is coaching and development.
Facts. Coaches, development, retainment, all of it. Basically what Derek Ray does as a GM under the direction of Mike Norvell and his coaching staff is nothing short of amazing. It's how we did what we did the past couple of years when everybody said, no. Well, okay. Well, you just had all these guys you built up. They have all the excuses. But no, it's just brilliant working of the rosters. When Miami signs 13 3-stars, that's what Florida State and teams used to do back in the day. They'd have 50, 60% blue chip ratios. They'd sign 30 dudes, 15, 16 blue stars. 3 stars, blue chips, and 10, 15 3-stars. Because that's all you had. That's where you got your top line players, and you also got bodies and guys who are projects. But with the portal, when you can replace those 10 projects and bodies out of high school with 10 guys out of college who can come compete for starting jobs, or like blue chips, freak athletes that just didn't work out and they're redshirt freshmen or true sophomores, you're crazy if you're not doing it. And as you just said, yes, Florida State is recruiting like Clemson toward the later part, toward the 2020 and then up towards now, plus the churning of the roster and the incoming portal guys. I mean, 20 to 30 guys leave every year. That's a big part of it too. If you're not going to work out, if you weren't one of the ones that fits the climb and is going to fight for a starting role, you're not going to last. You're going to be better off of what you've learned to go somewhere else and succeed at a lower level, or whatever the case may be. Maybe the culture just don't work. But there's 3 pillars of recruiting in college football in 2024: retainment, high school, and portal. And Florida State has busted into the top 10, much to the chagrin of all the haters, has dominated the portal and has dominated retainment. So that's trouble for everybody else. Just it's going to take a couple years for it to filter all the way to the end, like I said. But no, we're still going to compete with the best for the next couple of years. But let's get to the game. We've got 87 people in here. We're a good 16 minutes into the show. Looks like we've done plenty of foreplay here, talking about Nick Saban and everything else. And if you have questions, when Jen comes on, I'm sure we'll talk about it probably some more. But how are we feeling, whatever, 16, 17 hours out? How are we feeling about Georgia Tech before we get our predictions that we've promised you guys? We will get score predictions for all 3 of us before we leave here today.
Oh, I'm definitely confident, man. I know, and I have a feeling, it's going to be a filling out period. I wouldn't be surprised, as I've seen some people say this, that they may even score first. It takes some adjustment. But one thing that I have noticed over the last 3 or 4 years since Mike's been there, Mike is like, in this sense, like Kirby and like Nick was. You give him months to prepare, and he's going to draw some shit up. And it's been proven the last 2 years at LSU, and it was proven against Notre Dame when we went in overtime. We just didn't have enough bullets. But the schemes were there. We were able to compete with a lesser roster. Now our roster is on par with some of the better programs, or bigger name programs, as far as who's been established the last 5 or 6 years since we've come back and climbed back into the elite level. I don't question Mike's ability to draw up a plan. I trust the plan. I also look at things with Georgia Tech, man. And I think it's some of these things is going to be like looking in a mirror. When you look at the defense and offensive side of the ball, I think we can dig into that a little later, but I just see a little bit of a mirror in certain instances with their schemes offensively and defensively.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like looking in one of those wonky mirrors at the circus where it's you, but it's a little distorted here and there.
Yeah.
Like I believe they run a 4-2-5, like a variant of the same, scheme that we run, but they run a lot of zone, bail technique if they are in man, things of that nature. So different in that way. And then in the offense, I guess it could be pretty similar, but when you have play callers, we can get into the kind of DNA of each guy. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the biggest expert on Brent Key. But before we keep going into Georgia Tech and how everybody's feeling, I guess we can just start with Jen. How are you doing, and how are we feeling about Georgia Tech, baby?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling fine. I think this is like, I don't know. Usually I'm very nervous about games. This one, not so much. I think it's maybe because they've been talking so reckless, which is wild to me. So yeah, I think I'm pretty good. I honestly am feeling pretty good about like a 28-14.
That's
jumped right out. That was supposed to be.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. My bad.
Hey, he gives the people what you want. Say it again.
Yes.
28-14.
28-14. So you get the first prediction there, a Florida State win by 2 touchdowns. Our guy Tiny Hat says he's got a little something going on, so he wants to get his call in early. If you're not a fan of the show, if you're joining us, if you're first time with us, please hit that subscribe button. We won't let you down. Set that alert button. Him and Jen do a show called the Renegade Roast. It's going to get started back up after the Miami, Florida game next week, and after our game that Monday night. So look forward to that. And so I'm not sure what exactly he's got on his mind here, but whether it's about Saban or Herb Street or whatever's going on, I'm sure he's got some kind of list or somebody to get on. What's up, Tiny Hat?
Hey, yes. The big dog, the Tiny Hat CEO, has returned to the rundown. Shout out to my boy George. He's making that peach. What's that, white lightning in his bathtub. Shout out to Deshawn out here, looking glorious as always. I see you growing the hair back, bro. You trying to get that hairline back going. I see you, Playboy. And to the beautiful FSU, Harley Quinn. How you doing, Jen girl? Looking fabulous as always. But either way, I wanted to jump in here real quick and just let y'all know. All right, they can't say nothing to us no more. Okay, they can't say nothing to us no more. All right. First off, we seen 30,000 strong fly across the pond. We over here taking over Ireland, all right? They changing their country flag to that orange, to that green, and to that garnet and gold, baby. We over there stomping all over their little blades of grass. It's all wet over there. We stomping mud holes and all of that shit over there. And we about to stomp a mud hole into Georgia Tech chest tomorrow. I can't wait because games getting played. But that ain't even it. That ain't even it. The reason that they can't say nothing to us is because Saint Saban himself, all right, one of the 12 apostles, okay, it was Peter, it was Mark, it was Luke, and it was Nick Saban. All of them sitting around the table with Jesus sitting there. He told the world what we've been saying. All right. The Renegade Report has been telling everybody and their grandma for the last 9 months, hey, Florida State is not somebody to trifle with. Our coaching staff know what they're doing. And we had to have Saint Saban himself come out here and tell all of the haters, the Hurricanes, the people up there in Shamesville, the rest of these plebeian ass teams in the Ass Coast Conference, all of them had something to say about Florida State. We saw Saint Saban himself come down. All right. He blew his horn like Gabriel out here in these streets. And he told all of y'all, not only did he see a top 5 quality squad out there, but he said that the coaching staff is doing it the right way through the portal. He doing it the right way with recruiting, and he loves what he sees with the Florida State Seminoles. I keep telling y'all, we royalty, baby. That garnet and gold, those are regal colors. And when Saint Saban himself opens his mouth, when he opens his mouth and just wipes that little oil on our forehead, hits us with the In nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti, that lets you know that we are the chosen ones out here in these streets, all right? Go Noles, baby. I wanted to get this out for everybody. The Tiny Hat Squad is going to be out here watching the game. I love everybody out here in these streets. You can't say nothing to us because we are made men, all right? We solidified out here in these streets, all right? Ain't nobody walking up behind us and hitting us in the face like Tommy Guns on Goodfellas, all right? When we walk in the room, it's going to be all of the old heads looking at us, embracing us, bringing us into their bosom, saying, hey, you're one of us now. And that's what we got going, baby. Tiny Hat Game, we out. Go Noles.
All right. Go
You'll
Noles.
always liven the show up with us for us and give us what we need to hear, man. So appreciate you, Tiny Hat, man. He cracks us up every time. That's hilarious. No lies, though. No lies from what he said. It really is hilarious. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Rock and Roll Pepper Show, Joseph Harris, Scott, new to this. Ed Limix, our good friend. What's up? Nick Snyder, I know I saw in there. Fatal Jedi, Encyclopedia, Gongbei, Mike Myrick. You guys are heavy in the chat, so we appreciate you guys joining us again. If you're not already a member, become a member. You can join us for the members only live stream watch party that we're going to do for the game tomorrow. Be eligible for all kind of fun stuff we're going to do later on with the tailgates and giveaways and stuff when we get a little farther into the season. So become a member. We really appreciate it. If not, keep hanging out. You can hit that subscribe button. It's 100% free. So do that for us. And we'll get a little bit back into Georgia Tech, Florida State. Yeah, it's crazy. There's so much fighting because we fight the recruiting battle we just talked about. I've been fighting, my whole 3 pillars of recruiting and the real blue chip ratio and against big heavyweights in the industry and everything. So, yeah, it was nice to hear Saban have my back and assess the Florida State program the same way that we have, James has, Chris has, plenty of other people have as well. But, yeah, the Noles are kind of back. Mike Norvell's an elite coach. It kind of is what it is. The thing isn't falling back apart. But then we get to this closer to the game. All of a sudden, we're fighting this battle about, oh, well, DJ, use this, and you don't have the receivers, that. And Georgia Tech, they're this. It's as if Georgia Tech isn't facing the same exact issues we're facing, except for they have Haynes King. Their defense, guys, really bad. Like they talk glowingly about how great Georgia Tech's running game was last year, but they gave up the same exact amount of yards on defense.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no differential, it means jack squat. There has to be a differential. You have to be, top something in run defense and top something in run offense to be effective as a football team. There's nothing impressive about running for a ton of yards when you give up a ton of yards. You know why? Because when you're down 25 points in the fourth quarter, nobody gives a shit if you pop a 20-yard run and then a 10-yard run and then you punt again. Hello. This is just like beginner shit, garbage time, running. And, these teams are trying to run the clock when teams are down like that. And that's how Haynes King has the 17 picks, or whether that's turnovers and fumbles, I'm not sure. And that's the thing. Like last year, we had Jaden Daniels in LSU. And I felt like the talk was more on like a 50-50 flip them than it is this year. People acting like Georgia Tech are going to win. It's crazy. It wasn't, oh my gosh, well, what are we going to do with Jaden Daniels? The dude literally won the Heisman. I highly doubt Haynes King is going to win the Heisman. And people want to rag on DJU and talk about this and that, but he's still ranked like the 20-something, 17th to 20-something NFL prospect in this draft. Haynes King's like 47. So somebody help me here. We can go to Deshawn and then Jen. But I'm not worried about too much about Georgia Tech. We've already heard Jen's prediction. But just as far as that defense, how do you see this thing going? FSU offense against that Georgia Tech defense?
It's going to be interesting to see some of the changes because, I kind of put this in the chat. I don't know if I put it on the timeline, but their defensive coordinator is a Mike Elko guy. And I said the irony is our defensive coordinator is a Mike Elko guy. So nothing that we'll see, unless it's some unique wrinkle that the offense hasn't seen already in practice, because you got a guy who's a disciple under Elko, and then you got another guy. It's nothing Georgia Tech. They're going to be running a lot of similar schemes, but the personnel, the execution is what's going to be the difference here. We have better personnel. Like I said, better brand, better pizza, better ingredients, all that stuff. The cheese, the beer, all of it's better. Grade A. I just think that's where the cream rises to the top in this situation. If you're running the same stuff, it's whoever has the better dogs. And I think we got the bigger dogs.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's like, imagine our defense, except for they can't play man.
Yeah.
These guys are stuck in zone.
Yeah.
And it's nice. Adam Fuller likes to blitz and stuff. I haven't watched enough tape. I haven't seen the percentages. I don't know how much they blitz, but given that they're going to have to play zone this whole game against Florida State, they're going to have to blitz. They're going to have to blitz, time up run blitzes, and time up sacks on the quarterback on the play action and drop back passes, because if not, regardless of what our receivers are, there's giant size advantages. The kid Amari Harvey from Tallahassee out the right cornerback, he's 6 foot flat. Same thing for the left cornerback, Warren Burrell, 6 foot flat. They're both about 200 pounds, but that's just that's small for corners. Look at Florida State's corners and DBs. It's 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", 6'2", 6'2", 6'1", 6'3". Very few smaller defensive backs, and that's why we're able to play so much press man and things like that. So I just really worry about them and their defensive line. There's the kid over there, Zeke Biggers, who's kind of like the same size as Daryl Jackson. He really is a beast, but he's just one guy on that defensive line. The other guy's 6'4", 260, and gets whipped around like a wet towel. They got Romello Height in there, starting a transfer from USC. He brings more talent probably than they had with the other guy, but it remains to be seen. He wasn't some star over there. But
at Auburn either, George. He wasn't at Auburn either. This is his third school too. So
he was at Auburn, then USC.
Yeah, I think he went to Auburn and USC, if I believe. Yeah.
Who knows? But it's not good with their defense. You want to talk about their defense a little bit before we move on to the offense, Jen?
Is this the same defense they got on Indeed to get their coordinator before, they beat the crap out of Miami. Is that what we're doing here?
I missed that.
Yeah, no. Look, they're fine. They're all fine and dandy. It's, again, at the end of the day, it's Georgia Tech. I just, sure. Okay. Their defense might be nice. Their run defense is shit. They're pretty much, the whole team is kind of crappy. I mean, they did kind of well in the ACC a little bit. They still got the crap beat out of them by Bowling Green last year. And last I checked, it's the same team. Their biggest win was only because Mario Cristobal is one of the worst in-game coaches any of us have ever seen in our entire life. So, I mean, just wake me when it's over. Just wake me when it's over, and we can all be proven right here, because ESPN, the Georgia Tech fans, all the things, minus Nick Saban, which apparently, I mean, I'm guessing Gargamel must have been gagged today, with that, because his holy Lord Jesus Christ, said what he said about Florida State. I mean, that had to hurt. So, rest in peace to Paul Feinbaum today. I don't know how he's doing. Has anybody checked on him? We don't know. But yeah, again, it's Georgia Tech at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's Georgia Tech. The only way you lose, if you lose to Georgia Tech, it's an embarrassing loss at the end of the day. There isn't anything great about Georgia Tech. They're not winning a championship. They never will again. I think they shared one like in the 90s, which was a joke.
Yeah.
Nobody's scared of Georgia Tech. It's not a serious school. They need to go to class on Monday. They're busy. That's fine. Leave the football to the big boys and let's just have some fun.
Beautifully stated. Beautifully stated take there by Jen. Look, we'll talk a little bit about their offense because it is the bright spot, just so we can talk about our defensive line. I feel like it's one of the least things we've talked about on here, just because there's so many questions in other areas. So I want to make sure we talk about that. But let's talk about their offensive line for a second and the path to victory. If Florida State is going to have that crazy, embarrassing loss, how is Georgia Tech going to pull it off? How could it possibly be possible? Well, here's how it's possible. They're going to want to play like Jimbo Fisher, and it's 2017, buddy. They want 57 snaps on offense for both teams. If they can pull that off, have a couple turnovers. Think about the first half of the Georgia Tech game last year. If you go watch that game, they didn't keep that tight in the first half by playing, tit for tat with Georgia. Like they had a turnover and a quick score very early, and then this happened. Football. But minimal snaps, and it kind of, a lot of things went their way. If they can do that, if they can say drive down 2 scoring plays in the first half that eat up 12, 13 plays, eat up the entire quarter, and Florida State only has 2 possessions, 3 possessions tops, go into the half with a lead, then all of a sudden you're fresh. You're Georgia Tech, you're fresh coming out of the half. Now you're going to have to do that again. You're going to need a miracle in the third quarter, which is far and away Florida State's best quarter under Mike Norvell, because that's something that's kind of under talked about. Adam Fuller and the adjustment he makes at halftime are unreal. Teams do not score in the second half, and usually there's good offensive adjustments as well. But as far as the defense, I mean, it gets shut down. So they're going to have to somehow manage to stay extremely fresh to the fourth quarter to then have a slugfest and go one-on-one with Florida State, because they can't man up and go 4 quarters against Florida State. They'll get wore down. Florida State on our defensive line, I mentioned it, they may have the best 4 defensive line in the nation, starting on one side with Patrick Payton, Josh Farmer, Daryl Jackson, and Marvin Jones Jr. That's just the top 4 guys, okay? There's 6 more guys. They rotate 4 more tackles in, 2 more defensive ends in, and maybe 3. Adam Fuller's gone so far as to say his 5 defensive ends and 6 tackles. So 11 guys on the defensive line. They are going to be rotating in, and like hockey shift changes. It's not like, oh, this guy gets tired, now we put this guy in. No, they're pulling them before they're wore out. They're keeping everybody fresh so that when there's 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, our very best players will be on the game and they will be fresh. Cam Davis is going to come out sometime in the third quarter when their hands are on their knees and they're going to be like, oh, great, a backup's coming in. And it's going to be a 230-pound bowling ball, and it's going to hit them in their head. But, yeah, somehow they can have long, extended drives, convert a bunch of third downs. That's their one chance. If they can keep Florida State under 60 offensive snaps, and have no turnovers and really, convert. It's a lot of things. Convert in the red zone. That's their only shot. Outside of that, it's looking like a FSU freight train. But I'll let you guys start on that defensive line, Deshawn, and then we'll go to Jen.
Well, starting, I was funny you bring this up, George, because I was thinking about that earlier today, and I was just thinking that our defensive line is the key in the game, because Georgia Tech likes to do a little quirky things. They're either gonna try to get to the perimeter because all of their wide receivers, most of them are 5'9", 6 foot or shorter. Their running back is under 6 foot. So they like to move those little guys around. So it's going to be key to get that pressure up the middle to stop their read option, speed option, things like that. They like to do. They like to run a lot of bubble screens or, flares out there, get those guys on the perimeter. So two things: our defensive line getting penetration and also containment on the outside, setting the edge, and also tackling. We're going to have to be able to tackle as a unit in this game, just on the perimeter, especially. But getting back to the defensive line, this is a Farmer Jackson kind of game. Quickest way to the quarterback is right up the middle. If you can put that pressure and push the center and the two guards, get in the A gap and the B gap and just attack up the middle, you can negate a lot of things that Haynes King is capable of doing.
Yeah, without a doubt. There's no doubt about that. Jen?
Well, I think that our defensive line is sitting there licking their chops because Haynes King is well known to like to do some dancing in the backfield. I have a feeling that, there are some certain players on that defensive line, Gerald Jackson, that is about to have a really nice day. That's what I would say.
I believe it. Brother Mozone, welcome into the chat. One of our longest listeners here says, what I don't understand, no longer triple option. Yes, they dropped that with the last coach, Jeff something or another. He got fired, and now they brought in Brent Key, who's pretty good. And they've managed to completely turn over the roster and get it away from the triple option. But the problem is with that roster is that guys are really, really young. And why I stressed that they had to have success very early, drive down and score in that first half and limit possessions. Because when you look at their offensive line, they've got some pretty, good guys. They're seniors and juniors. They're all 6'6", 315, 6'4", 310, 6'4", 310, 6'6", 315, 6'5", 315. And they're all seniors or redshirt juniors. Great. It looks great, but that's just their first team. And then when you look at the second team, it's redshirt freshmen, 6'1", 310, and things of that nature. So, be it injuries, cramps, having to sub out to get oxygen, whatever the case may be, if they have to sub, they're in trouble. When they get in their depth, they're in trouble. And it's the same thing on defense. A whole bunch of young, unproven guys, freshmen, redshirt freshmen, backing up everybody that starts on a defense that, it's all the same guys. You would like those young guys to step up. So we'll see. And it's like we're not trying to be totally negative or hateful on Georgia Tech. That's why I wanted to point out that kind of path to victory that there is. But at the end of the day, especially on defense, it's about the Jimmies and the Joes.
I guess I didn't get that memo. I didn't get the memo.
Which
about
memo
hating on Georgia Tech, because I'm here to hate on Georgia Tech. They suck. A bunch of mathematicians. No. I'll hate on them. I'll be the asshole. I don't mind.
All right, you got it. Jim will be the asshole. But yeah, as far as the offense, Deshawn mentioned it. They like to go sideline to sideline, do little quirky things. I forget, maybe Bud Elliott or somebody called it a real apology offense, a gimmicky offense. They're going to do all kind of crazy motions to try to get younger players' eyes over here, and they're going to try to beat you to the edge.
Misdirection.
If their running back can outrun your defensive end and things like that. But with Florida State's defense and our defensive linebacker, or defensive backs, linebackers, defensive linemen, I just like Haynes King. To what Jim was saying, he's not outrunning Pat Payton, and he's not outrunning Marvin Jones in the open field. And these defensive backs, he's not going to run them over. maybe like some lesser teams. If he plays around and tries to run too much, he's going to find out what Riley Leonard found out and every other quarterback like that found out. There's this book out there on Florida State that, oh, they can't stop a running quarterback. That's how you beat their defense. But it's not true. It's literally a figment of people's imagination. It's a thing that's made up. It's literally just what it is in college football. Elite defenses, the only chance you're going to have to move the ball is to have a mobile quarterback to move over and extend plays and make plays down the field. That's not an FSU specific thing. That's Alabama. Who finally broke the Alabama dynasty? It was because they had Deshawn Watson that could move around, make all these amazing, it was who was it that beat him in the regular season? Donnie Football. You know what I mean? Because he was running around and doing all these things. That's just when Jimbo Fisher was here, Jeremy Pruitt's defense, it was running quarterbacks. Running quarterbacks give you fits. Like, ideally, if a quarterback can run like a running back and throw like Peyton Manning, that's the worst, possible combination. So either one of y'all take over from there. But I just think it's funny.
Yeah, with the running quarterback situation, I can understand. But if you really look at what we do, we play trail man. So if you're covering man, you're usually going to have your backs turned because you're flowing with the wide receivers and backs and situations like that, tight ends out of the backfield. So if your back is turned, you're not going to see the scrambling quarterback. Zone tends to be a little bit more effective against running quarterbacks, or like you're going to have a spy. So it's really going to come down to not only the line, but our linebackers are going to have to be very disciplined, and it's going to be a little assignment football that's going to have to be played early on just to fill everything out. That's why I said at the beginning of the game, trying to fill out their offense and understand, because there's some things that they do that actually Mike does, and he did early on with Florida State and with Travis. He did a lot of, we didn't see a lot of that last year, but if you go back to 22 and a little bit before, they do some of the same things. They tend to run Haynes King more than we did Jordan.
2021 Florida State.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the basically personnel?
That's basically what Georgia Tech did, a lot of the same things.
But less. I want to emphasize even less. Like, they literally have 6 blue chips. Like the new composite that came out.
Yeah, their personnel isn't the same.
Blue chips and that, so even 2021 Florida State, a couple blue chips and things of that nature.
Yeah.
But they do have guys that are playing over their head. Brent Key, I do have the respect for him. Not quite to a Norvell, but you've talked about the similarities. He is a good coach that's going to get the most out of his players. But the gap from Georgia Tech talent to Florida State talent, it's just too much. As we've all kind of stated, all three of us, it's going to be an embarrassment. It's going to suck if you lose to Georgia Tech. And we're about to give our scores. Jen already did. It's 850-495-1906. If you have a call, now's the time. Go ahead, Jen.
I was just going to say, about the running quarterback thing, with Boston College, y'all correct me here, but wasn't that a last minute decision for that quarterback to start before Boston College?
No,
I can't remember whether it was last minute decision or not, but it was early in the year. We hadn't seen him, whatever the case may be. We had the flu. There was all kinds of things. He was not known. That's when he was.
I thought he wasn't going to start, and then he did. Like he was sick or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. It's something like that. But I think Adam Fuller, I'm sorry. Yes, I give Adam Fuller way more respect than I give maybe the Georgia Tech DC. No offense, all offense, however you want to take it. I do think he's going to be prepared for Haynes King. I think Haynes King's put plenty on film. I think he put plenty on film when he was in dismiss from A&M. And I think at Georgia Tech too. Like, come on. I think we're all going to be just fine. And guys, I think the running quarterback thing for that situation was a different situation. I do think Riley Leonard was shut down by Florida State. And that's just how I feel about it.
No, it's all true. And again, guys, if you have a call, a hot take, anything like that, now is the time. 850-495-1906. Encyclopedia jumps in. Cam Davis is going to tattoo some poor defender. Yeah, dude, I totally agree. We appreciate the super chat, of course. Encyclopedia is already a member. But if you're not a member, those are available if you want to join us for the members only stuff, including the watch party we are doing tomorrow. But Haynes King, it's crazy how hype they made him. But let's go ahead and do our predictions. Do you want me to give mine first, or you want to go ahead, Deshawn?
You go ahead, George, and I'll follow up.
All right. I've been back and forth on this. It's hard. You haven't seen Georgia Tech play. You haven't seen Florida State play. And again, I've had a lot of opinions. I've done a lot of research, breaking down the rosters and, down with a fine tooth comb where each kid came from, what they were in high school, onto recruits, the guys that leave, the guys that come back, what's going on with development and everything else. But to hear everybody else saying it, Saban, all the, all my friends, their reports that got to go to practice and what they've seen, I'm just to a level of confidence now where I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to have to put the classic, Alabama or Florida State in 2013, whatever it is when you play a lesser squad, and it's something like 41-14. I'm going to give them a little bit of love. I'm going to call it 41-21, Florida State.
Interesting. I'm close. I'm a little under on our score. I'm 35-20. And I think they scored to get that 20 a little late in the game. It could end up being a little bit like last year's LSU game, where there's a little knuckle dragging and a little bit fighting for early, but then we just hit between two quarters. We just overrun it and just run down their throat, put the game out of reach, and then we may give up a late touchdown or a score. And that's it. 35-20 is my pick.
Beautiful. So we've got 41-21, and I'm rethinking that now because I feel like they're going to get a field goal at some point. Should have went 41-17 or 41-24. Let's do that. I'm changing it. 41-24. 41-24, Florida State. 35-20 it was. And 28-14 for Jen.
Yeah, and I know mine sounds low, guys, but you know what? I'm better luck when I pick low and my expectations are lower. You'll have to understand the process. It's just the way it is.
I believe the over and under is 55 points, if I'm not mistaken. So I think you're right on the money for the over and under. I had the over and Jen had the under, so we didn't give you much to go on. If you're betting, if you're gonna bet the under, we got the over, the under, and the wash. So not sure what to tell you there, but I guess we'll just see. Those over and unders are tough in games like this, especially the first game of the season when you're not so sure about an offense. So yeah, I wouldn't bet that, but I'd feel safe betting FSU to cover if I were you. That's for sure. I don't even have to look and see the name or anything. I just see that Bobby Bowden hat pop up, and it's our guy
Jeff,
$20 super chat. If this was played in Tallahassee, I say a big blowout, 45-14. This one we're playing is not in our country, so 35-17 for a total, 52. So he's taking the under. So there you go. You've got two unders, one over, and one wash. So 55 and a half, Rob Wilmer says. So you're under, buddy. Okay, there you go. Bet the under. Don't listen to me. Deshawn and Jen say bet the under. George says bet the over and take the Noles and the points. But I will go ahead and say I am no kind of gambler. I do no good with gambling. I am good with blackjack. But everybody knows blackjack is the one that isn't so much gambling. You can actually count the cards, and it's something that naturally happens if you're good. I can't count cards, but I just do know, kind of how to play with the people around you. That's why blackjack's fun. It's pretty much a team. I think we have a caller here. Let's see what it's about. Saved. Nick Snyder is live on the line. What's going on, bro?
Hey guys, oh my god, the GT fans on Twitter are nuts. So I had a technical question because obviously we're getting hype from certain media sources. Did Georgia Tech suddenly grow a Heisman winner and two NFL wide receivers out of nowhere? Because I think our coaching staff knows how to handle LSU level talent, and Georgia Tech is not on that level. So I don't know where all this, we've returned like the 7th top production. Like, yeah, they returned production that was way inferior to our guys. So I think they're going to have a little bit of fun with a reality check.
Hey, we agree, man. I mean, you didn't really have a question. You just did a great take there. Was there anything you were wondering, or you just wanted to say go Noles and get out of here?
Pretty much go Noles. I think King's going to be on his rear, and that's the way it's going to be for a lot of quarterbacks this year.
I love to hear it, and I don't doubt it one bit. We appreciate you calling, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me, these guys going, oh, they've got all these people returning. Oh, great. A bunch of mid players returning to a mid team. Woo, woo, woo. Maybe Miami will forget to nail the ball again. They can sneak out another win. I don't know. But okay. I just don't see it. Nobody has shown me anything. Who else did they beat? I guess that they beat North Carolina last year. Who gives a shit?
Nope.
North Carolina's terrible too. Mac Brown is a Florida State plant. We know this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what anybody. Oh my God, somebody beat North Carolina. Ooh. When have they been a powerhouse? Who cares? Like, this isn't like they didn't beat Clemson. They didn't beat like an SEC team. No, they did none of the sort. Like, what are we talking about here? They lost to Ole Miss. Are we serious right now? What do we do? Again, okay, you returned a bunch of mid players. Cool. Enjoy.
What's up, Ed Limix? He says the Luna Coffee is ready to sponsor this show.
Awesome.
We've been talking quite a bit, so heck yeah, man. We're glad to hear it, and we'll get together real soon. Who knows, maybe after the show. Ed's been a big fan of the show for the longest time. We didn't even realize that he owned a Luna Coffee, so it would be really cool to have somebody who is a part of the chat, really kind of part of the family, and from Pensacola, where I'm from as well. Sponsor the show would be a great place to start, and we know you guys would buy up all the coffee we told you to get. That's for sure. We had a caller. I guess people they're quick to hang up. It's from Kentucky. This could be a good one.
Oh Lord.
You're live on the Renegade Report. What do we got for you? Or what do you got for us?
What's going on? What's going on, George? What's going on, Jen? What's going on, my guy? I'm trying to get your name down, but I don't have it right. Okay, forgive me. Plus, I'm a little lit too because it's pre-game day.
We can just say Jen, D, and George. How about that?
There you go.
Jen and George. That's my man. That's what's up. So y'all look a little conservative on your prediction. I'm thinking it's like a 31-7 type game. I'm thinking Florida State's gonna come out. I'm thinking we're gonna start with a play action pass, shot down the middle of the seam, see if the safety is gonna be true to the game. If not, it's wide open from there. I like a blowout. I say that the stadium is going to be ringing like Camping World was with the war chant, brother.
Hey, that is pretty amazing, man. We appreciate the call. Did you have a question before you let you go, or just go Noles?
Nah, man, just go Noles, man. It's pre-game day. We got questions.
Right.
We appreciate it, man. Call in next time too, brother.
For sure. Y'all have a good night.
You too, man.
Too. Thank you.
Hey, I'm glad he brought that up. I don't think I really touched on that. Guys, how much have we talked about FSU moves the needle? FSU does this. We talked about it a little bit when I was talking about my tweet about how FSU supposedly was hurting their brand with the litigation and trying to get out and all of those things. But look, who else gets 30,000 people to fly to Ireland to sell out a football game, to pack a football game? Oh, I got the crackling mic. Thank you, K-Dog, for letting me know. I'll back out, and y'all can take off where I left off.
Well, I can tell you who doesn't get 30,000 fans to fly to Ireland. That's one thing I can say, right? I mean, am I right?
That's true. There's
a team that can't get 30,000 people to come 45 minutes away when they got to get on that bus and, get the key out and go into their rented stadium. I get that. I mean, that's got to be tough. Yeah, there really is. Florida State moves the needle, and Notre Dame was in the Ireland game last year. There are teams that move the needle. We know the SEC teams aren't going to go do these types of overseas games, and we know ESPN, and we know actually the NFL is doing the same thing. They're trying to do the overseas games. We know the SEC is not going to agree to do any overseas games. And of course, the ACC told ESPN, sure, whatever you want us to do, we're going to do it. But I mean, I'm going to be surprised the next team that goes. I want to see the crowd because Notre Dame had a great crowd. Of course, they did. Of course. And Florida State's going to have an amazing crowd too. So let's see the next team. I'm ready to see who's next year in Ireland. Do we know?
Is it Iowa State? You're on mute, George.
Oh God.
Okay. I think it's Iowa State and someone. I can't remember.
Yeah, don't get me the line. I'm not sure. I know we opened with Alabama this year, and I know I got another factoid to get to after this caller. But you're live on the Renegade Report. Go ahead.
What's up, George? What's up, Jim? What's up, D?
What's up? What's up?
Fatal Jedi.
All right, Fatal Jedi.
Got it. I don't know if anybody on here really pays any attention to my boy Big Game James.
Come on, who you talking to?
I know you do. But if you pay attention to his breakdown of GT, of Georgia Tech, constantly the middle of the field is wide open.
Yes.
Wide open.
Justin Hill would have 8 in this game, boy.
He would have. But we got another little guy that's fast as all get up.
Oh, yeah. Pick up, son.
He's going to eat so much, he might gain 10 pounds in this game. If they try to close up the middle, y'all going to see Benson eat.
Yeah.
Everything they try to do to counter what FSU can do is going to work against them. And this is the most balanced I've seen FSU in a long time. Try to cover the run. They're gonna eat you up with them fast receivers.
Yeah.
Try to back off and play soft. They got some real gangsters in that backfield.
Yeah.
So I can't see it. And I know people do not want to say that this defense could be better than last year, but I can see it. I can see how 2 defensive ends that's going to be just ridiculous with 2 tackles that's going to move offensive linemen like paper.
Yeah.
And our defensive backs are the best in the nation. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be ridiculous. In this game, it's going to be a sad homecoming for Georgia Tech. If you play ball, you know that when you lose, that ride home is a motherfucker.
Yes. Quiet.
You're picking on everybody. But all I can say is go Noles. We finna monkey start GT tomorrow. It's over.
Hell, we appreciate you, man. Yeah. If anybody knows, Fatal Jedi knows, between us, between Spiratics, between Den Media Group, he knows what we've been saying. He knows what this team has been about for a long time. So we appreciate him calling in, being a member of the channel as always. And what he said about the DBs is no lie. I almost wanted to play our little video now, but we'll play that to end out the show. That'll be the kind of exit trailer highlighting our DBs and Pat Surtain hyping them up, talking about going 15 deep. But yeah, we've been saying it all summer, and now it's just nice to hear the professionals say it. I think kind of our top 4 defensive linemen, not so much the entire defensive line. I think it's kind of becoming a consensus that the top 4 guys are probably the best in the nation as far as NFL prospects. I've heard several people say that. So you can say we have the best unit in the nation. Okay, you can argue that who has the best unit, but as far as the top 4 guys, I don't think you can put anybody up there next to Florida State, which is amazing coming off having all the guys drafted and all the things that were said. But yeah, we're so close. I'm about talked out if I'm being honest. Is there anything on anybody's minds before we get out of here? Again, callers have been great with y'all's takes.
Yes.
Haven't really had that many questions or anything, but what were we were talking about how FSU traveled before we got kind of interrupted there and had some calls. But yeah, what they did to New Orleans for the first LSU game. I mean, it was just Tallahassee and New Orleans.
Immaculate. Yes.
And then I was in Orlando. I'm not sure if you guys were there for the next year for the LSU game at Big Games tailgate, pregame party, and all that. All FSU. It was packed out. It was the same thing. It was like for every 10 FSU people, there were 2 or 3 LSU people. It was awesome. So it's just pretty much like that every, no matter what's going on, no matter where they go. FSU isn't the oldest school. They aren't the oldest blue blood. They are the new blood. And the people that are, the boosters and super, what's the word I'm looking for? Involved with the program or super into the program or whatever the case may be. Invested. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Can't work. Forget about words. The people that are really invested in this program, they're invested. They're going to fly, do whatever it takes. They're going to be happy to just be over there cheering on the Noles. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm jealous of everybody over there, but we're going to have fun. We're going to do our watch party again for members only, so we can kind of do whatever we want, show whatever we want, have fun. We're going to do that. So become a member. You can join up for $2.99 tomorrow if you decide you want to watch. Somebody can gift you one, whatever the case may be. But we love all you guys. We appreciate everybody that has come and joined the show. I appreciate Jen. I appreciate Deshawn. This whole thing, as we're sitting here a day before the game, is a dream for me. I know it's been sort of a dream for Deshawn. Jen, she's just such a badass. She's got 3 or 4 dreams, but she shows up here and she's like, she made the consistency of this show and really, helped the Renegade Report get to where it is. It never would have got here without her, maybe in 2 or 3 years, but never in the time that it did. Our timing of getting together in November where we could start bringing you guys 2 and 3 shows a week, every week, and build the community, build the trust, put all the takes out there. There's a lot. We've only got a couple hundred videos on YouTube, but there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of minutes of content of us saying stuff and it coming true. So some stuff we don't get on the nod. Some stuff is just opinions, and when you're projecting forward, you don't always get it right. I picked 11-1 last year, and we went 12-0. Well, to be technical, I picked 12-1 in a trip to the playoffs. We went 13-0 and no trip to the playoffs. But anyways, we all picked 12-0 this year. We're all in on this team, and we all picked Florida State to kick Georgia Tech's ass tomorrow. We all picked to cover, but we did not all pick the over. I'm the only one with the over. Jen and Deshawn come in with the under. And I think, that's about all I've got. Jen, anything before we get here?
No, I'm just excited. If everybody is cooking tomorrow, if you're not in Dublin, just enjoy your night. Do we have to watch game day tomorrow? Because I don't know what's everybody watching tomorrow. I will. Okay, and this is not political.
For research and meme purposes.
Yes.
May
okay.
you watch.
This is what I'm saying. This isn't political. Y'all do not jump down my throat. But did I hear right that Ron DeSantis is going to be on game day tomorrow?
I heard that he's over there. But
I've heard he's on a segment tomorrow, like talking to them. And we know that he loves to hate on some reporters. And we know what he had to say about ESPN. So maybe that could be interesting. I'm just saying that could be fun for me. I love anybody who's I don't care who you are. You could be anybody. If you're going to dog on ESPN to their face, I'm here for it. That could I might record it. That's what I was going to say.
I hear you. Definitely enemy number one. It's funny. ESPN, we grew up loving it. Like, it's what we all grew up watching. Sports Center and Stuart Scott and all those guys.
Patrick.
As a young man, the first summer after you turn 18 and you're out partying and doing things with your girlfriend and all your friends, and you wake up the next morning, you're playing Madden and eating cold pizza, and you turn on Sports Center and you see the same highlights 13 times because you don't want to get off the couch. It's like all these things, these are core memories, and we grew up on it, and it was really just highlights and who's the best and all these cool different things. And nowadays it's not that. It's a shell of what it used to be. Fox Sports is pretty good, but I think the true answer is new era media, is what I like to call it. It's us, it's Spear Addicts, it's Noel Game Day, it's Den Media Group, it's Plant the Spear, whoever the case may be. It's people that they're not they don't have lobbyists, they don't have Dope Talk, absolutely. CJ Wilson at Dope Talk. People just out here doing it because they love the game of football. they love Florida State or whatever team they may be covering in any particular video. But it's just gotten to a point where everything's so beholden, without getting political again, like Jen said, the stuff that we don't care about. We want to talk about the football team, and that's it. So that's what we're going to do.
No, I was just looking forward to somebody, making fun of ESPN to their face. That's really the only place I was going with that. Because I don't really know who else they're going to have on to do it, because I haven't heard anybody else going on there. So the game's so early, so it's not going to be Mike, right? It's not going to be Coach Norvell. So who else are they going to have on to discuss Florida State?
Already,
While in Ireland.
I have no idea. I doubt
That's what I'm saying.
Because the relationship wouldn't make much sense, but you never know. Drip Kings TV say Renegade Report doing after game streams. I thought a lot about it. We're going to do a second year with the Voice of College Football doing the live post game show. So get over there after the game. We're going to be on the main channel and the Voice of College Football channel. So it's going to be like 51,000 total subscriber base that they have up there, plus all of you guys, if you come join us for certain games. Who knows, maybe tomorrow when we get done over there, we'll pop back over here, or I'll pop over here by myself, or maybe somebody else will want to come talk. I'm not saying we won't do post-game stuff. We probably will, because the engagement and the want for content is going to be huge. But this will be my final year doing the post-game show. Who knows, maybe Deshawn will be the host next year. We're going to figure it out. These two guys are going to hang out with me over there for most of the post-game shows, as long as they can make it. So that's what the plans are. And we're going to do live watch streams here. Mike Lee, yes, there will be there will be a watch party. That's what we are going to be doing here. But it's members only for this first go round, so we don't get messed up and caught with any copyrights. We're going to maybe play some radio broadcast, maybe show some highlights here and there. So it's going to be for members only. Who knows, maybe going forward we'll open it up for non-members, but we want to have some real opportunities for the members to continue to build this community, have stuff like a safe space for us to just watch FSU football and not have trolls and everything else in there unless they paid for the membership. If you want to pay for the membership and come talk crap, the more the merrier. And it's only $2.99. I think I have it set too. So
and not as a promotion thing here, but like if y'all pay for a membership and you get to watch the live stream with us, you get to watch how horrendously I behave during football games. That's worth the money here. I'm telling you right now. And we have to do members only because, my mouth would make a sailor blush, guys. It would make a sailor blush.
As
so
long
I'm
as
gonna
y'all
try
don't
and be
mind.
good. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna try and be good. But it's about superstition. If I don't act a fool, it is what it is.
Yeah, members only will be totally fine. We do have to mind our P's and Q's on the Voice of College Football. That's more of a family appropriate show. But over here, we're going to have fun. And we will, we'll do some post-game action, but for the most part, it'll be over there. And we appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow at 11 o'clock Central, 12 Eastern, 4 o'clock Irish time for kickoff. Go Noles, baby. I'll leave you guys with this right here with my DB video that we did the other day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Second, 3rd and 8. Wiles intercepted. A big 6. Jerry Jones.
At Florida State, you want to have a room where you have 15 guys who you feel comfortable with playing, and I think we're somewhat around that number, guys who I feel comfortable with that can go in the game and give us valuable production.
What did he say?
You have 15 guys who you feel comfortable with playing.